Welcome, one and all, to this very special collaboration between Worlds Elsewhere Theatre Company and Fantasy Worlds Elsewhere, our regular actual play channel featuring the very players you will see today. We are staging this event to raise funds towards the company's 2023 schedule. Every penny you donate today will go towards making sure Worlds Elsewhere Theatre Company can stage the very best shows possible for your continued entertainment. Today's one-shot is titled Musica Universalis. A disparate group of fictional characters must first come face to face with the reality of their creation and then stop a thief who seeks to steal away the very essence of that creation. We will be playing using the Fate system from Evil Hat Productions, and for many of our players, this will be their first opportunity to do so. So please forgive any mix-ups with the rules or what have you. I take full responsibility for throwing it at them without letting them know how it works. We are here to tell a story and play a game, and we hope that you will enjoy where this game takes us. Finally, Worlds Elsewhere Theatre Company is a primarily US-based organization. As such, we would like to take a moment to acknowledge that the land upon which we are currently living and working came into government possession through acts of genocide in order to help address the impacts of those acts and foster a world where such injustices are consigned to the past. Worlds Elsewhere Theatre Company management is currently located on Munsee Lenape, Duwamish, Coast Salish, and Chumash lands specifically. Please see the program for the list of native lands upon which the players and production team of Musica Universalis currently reside. The list will be updated after the show to include our surprise guests. I will also add a quick content advisory. There will be a number of elements in this game, not all of which we are aware of at this time, but I can advise that you should be advised that there will be elements of misogyny and patriarchy, physical and emotional abuse, graphic depictions of blood, and the potential for physical and emotional violence. However, with that in mind now, with all that being said, let us go to a world elsewhere.
Yeah.
And so we begin our tale. We come to a place beyond time, without form or rules. A place none of you know. A world only in your minds. It coalesces around you all. And you find yourself stepping on solid ground, but only because you will it. You enter a round room. Its walls flex and turn. You hear laughter, or rather, the echoes of laughter. The laughter seems to give strength to the craft upon which you stand. Now you can see it forming stronger, more solid. The curving walls bend towards a long hallway, and for the first time, you all realize that you are not alone. You see each other drift out of the ether. One by one, you are given form in this place, as this place is given form by your very presence. Titania, I should say. You arrive in this place. Could you please describe yourself for those viewing and those who also set the stage?
Titania, in this particular interpretation of her, is very tall, like a level of tall and thin that starts to feel just a tiny bit unnatural, with dark hair down to her shoulders, and she's wearing a dress that seems to have like, are there lights in it? Are there stars in it? There's something weird going on with her dress with a cape over it. And on one half of her body, she's got like covered in jewelry, and the other half she has like chainmail on her arms. She's got this particular ring on one of her fingers, and she seems a little spacey, like she doesn't quite understand where she is or what she's looking at.
You do begin to notice the other figures nearby starting to form their own physicality. The first you see across the room from you, you do not know her name yet, but Christine, could you describe yourself and how you are responding to this curious new location?
Christine has just been taken essentially from her dressing room, so she is still in her dressing gown and corset. So in addition to being unnerved at being practically naked by the standards of her era, she is clutching the red scarf of her childhood in a combination of fear and modesty, because this is not a good experience for her. This is rather a traumatic sort of reminder of things she has been trying very hard to forget, namely the memory of being transported beneath the Paris Opera some time ago for the last time. It is something like a waking dream she had hoped never to have again.
You take a step forward, glance around. It is a place of light and shadow. It feels as if it only exists when you look upon it. And when you turn your head to the sound of laughter, you spy a smaller figure entering the scene. Alice, could you describe yourself and perhaps how it feels to be in this strange new room?
Alice is a 7.5-year-old, and she's actually, she looks quite comfortable. She's sort of wandering around and looking at everything, going like, what is this? What is that? What are these things? And she notices the other people, but she kind of doesn't really pay them very much mind yet. She will probably pay attention to them when she gets around to it. But at the moment, she appears to be a small, normal English child wearing a pretty yellow dress with a white pinafore, and she's very she looks altogether too comfortable with the strangeness of having stepped out of her world. She feels she's sort of like looking around like, oh, I just found another one. Basically, not really surprised. She is otherwise just sort of wandering and poking at things. Is there anything in the room that she is like could start fiddling with?
You do see, as you start to look for things you can fiddle with, that a door begins to form itself, shaped like no door you've seen before, not even in the land of wonder from which you came. It is curved strangely, and you wonder how it could open. And perhaps in wondering, you might try the lock.
I definitely want to try the lock.
You reach forward, and you notice that from your fingers seems to come the energy to solidify the door handle. You turn it, and you can pull it back. And of course, whenever you open a door, someone needs to come through it. And striding through it is someone you may have heard about or read stories about, but you may not have paid too much attention. It was, after all, ancient history, if anything. However, Morgan, you have been pulled away from your Avalon and find yourself now surrounded by pure energy of creation. Can you describe yourself for the others and your reaction to this?
The person that you see coming through the door, she's wearing a crown, of course, because she is royalty. Perhaps not as royal as some, but royal enough. Royal enough for herself, anyway. She's dressed rather subdued, at least compared to the others, but she has a regal bearing about her. And if she's unsettled by what's happened, she's not showing it. For all she knows, this is another part of Avalon that she's never had a chance to explore. Perhaps one of the knights of the Round Table has gotten himself into a scrape, and she has to be here to set things right. But she'll acknowledge the little girl. Perhaps give a second glance at the strange attire, and once again another glance at the other people who are here. And she gives them a slight curtsy, a sign of respect, but not too deep, because she does not know their station yet. And she's not going to bow to someone who is lower than her.
Very good.
Definitely going to return the slight curtsy in exactly the same measure.
I think
I only have so much for a head nod because I am still very much in shock.
Titania sort of looks at her, looks at Alice, rolls her eyes, and looks off into space.
Morgan will look down at the little girl. Well met, young lady, young princess.
I'm a queen, actually.
And from one queen to another, and she gives a bit of a deeper bow.
And Alice returns it too, because it's only polite.
This is a very strange place, and I'm not sure that I belong here. I'm certainly not a queen.
Then you're the only one so far who isn't royalty. Are you a servant?
Or perhaps you just don't know yet. Perhaps you're about to find out.
I just want to go home. I want to go back. Ra will be looking for me.
You feel pain, Jean. You feel it in your heart. You feel drawn to it. You sense the fear. And you cannot help but move towards where it is centered. And your footsteps are heavy on these crystal floors. But the four ladies in the room turn at your presence, as if from the ether, just as they did. Can you describe what they see and your reaction to being in this strange new world?
Yeah, so this guy materializes, and he looks almost like an amalgam. Like his hair is peppered like white and the what seems to be the natural color of his hair. He seems young, but at the same time he seems old, like he's lived a hard life and yet again even appeared to be an old man. It seems to be at the same time this person exists as all ages of this particular person's life. The man steps forward and he's like, he shakes his head and he's confused and he's looking around. It's, what is around me? But I do not recognize any of this. Who? He tries to like get himself tries to like stabilize and hello. I'm sorry. I seem to have gotten lost.
I think none of us are where we should be, monsieur. I think we are all in one way or another lost.
That seems very true, madame. Valjean, seeing he, I wouldn't know if that's of the peer, either way. He offers you his, like the coat he's wearing, because you seem to be in a state of, like your night wears.
Merci. Merci.
He's like, right. And, he sees the two, he sees Titiana and Morgan and just you royalty. I'm sorry, is this a palace of yours?
Possibly, not sure yet. Have to figure that out. But I can tell that you're from the land of the Normans, are you not? Both of you, Normans.
Well, strictly speaking, I am from Sweden by birth, but France has been my home for a very long time.
Frenchmen, whole continent's been so boring ever since you killed all the Romans.
So
well,
we have
that
a
would have
northerner
been
and a Norman.
Well, that would have been a very long time ago. The Rome hasn't been a place in 500 years.
Centuries.
Yes, I'm aware of how long you've been boring.
And where are you from that is so interesting?
I don't know if you have a word for it. Not here, and not there. Not really anywhere you can go. She knows, and she sort of gestures to Morgan. She has seen it, at least.
Morgan will turn to Titania and say, all right, of course. The nameless queen, the one that I have seen in my scrying from time to time. Right, well, if we're all here, and we're not supposed to be here, then I suppose I should get started with getting us back to where we belong. Does anyone have any salt? I need to cast a circle.
Cast? You're talking about magic.
Holly,
Of course.
what's your name?
Christine Daye.
Oh, the magic one.
Oh.
Me.
You.
I'm Morgan Le Fay.
Le Fay? If I have been dragged here against my will, then you haven't a chance in a million years of breaking out, if I count. And I've been trying to leave for the past 15 minutes. Or week. So, no.
You seem to be confused.
Yes.
Can I help?
What are you?
Not anything, really.
Well, that does
one's-
not seem.
No, go ahead.
That does not seem entirely true. Clearly, you are a young child, and you must have a
Queen,
name.
actually. Oh, I'm Alice.
Alice.
That one
No,
smells
it's
like
pronounced
fear.
Alice.
Elis, I think. Elis.
Alice, what do you smell like? You don't smell like
Alice.
anything I've sensed before.
Are you saying I'm dirty?
No. Well, maybe. I don't know.
One
But-
would think you are talking about the child like you plan to eat her.
No, I don't eat children, whatever they think.
That's very kind of you. I don't think children would taste very good. Or at least I don't think I would taste very good.
Little one, have you been talking with these people for very long? I wouldn't want them to influence you as they seem to have.
Only moments. I've just arrived.
The same as us. Okay. Take it as my word, we'll find your parents and we'll get you all out of here.
I
It is
don't
appreciated, monsieur.
think my parents are going to be looking for me anytime really soon. Usually this happens when I fall asleep. Or when I get bored.
I
Are
see.
you
Get
bored
bored often?
now?
Well, no. It's all rather wonderful, isn't it? Look around. Look, this place is a style I've never seen before. At least, not around any of the places I've been, which admittedly is not very many in the other world. But in Wonderland, or Looking Glass World, those places have places like this, so maybe this is connected to them.
Smoke and mirrors. That.
Oh no,
That
there's
cannot
never
be
any
good.
smoke. I don't like fire.
No, I mean. Illusions. They. He would do those.
The
Christine.
Frenchman?
Christine, do you hear that?
Yes?
You hear that music? You, blessed to sing so sweetly, you can hear it first. But you're not the only one. Soon, all of you can hear it. It sounds like nothing you've ever heard before, and yet, in your souls, it speaks to something. And then,
Whatever is that? Alice is going to try and find.
Alice, can you make a investigate check, please?
Sure can. Did that go through?
It may in time.
Oh, I see. Input value
0.
rating? Oh, 0. Okay.
There you go. A fair
Hey.
investigate check.
Yeah.
Not bad. Enough to give you some indication of where the music is coming from, or perhaps where the music is leading to. It's difficult to say. It seems to come at you from all angles, and you all kind of struggle to determine a central source. But Alice, again, it seems that your determination to find one helps, and you're able to follow a line, hallways that spiral, always spiraling, always turning, moving twisting. And do the rest of you follow?
Valjean would definitely follow once he sees that Alice is beginning to go somewhere.
We should not go after her without finding a way to mark the way. What good is it if we all get lost in that labyrinth?
And which I'm going to go because we don't know how to get in or out. So does it matter if we can find our way back here? And she's
I
going to
couldn't-
swoop off.
I couldn't allow myself to let someone as young as that get eaten by whatever space we're in. It'd be safer if we go as a group.
And besides, one is never lost if one knows who one is.
Titania is going to shoot Morgan a very sharp look at that, but not say anything.
I know very well who I am, madame. I do not know where I am, though. And I do not know what horrors might wait down there.
Well, if you're
This is
afraid
a
of the
path I've
dark,
been down before. I am
Can I
afraid of
conjure-
what lives within it.
can I conjure a light?
I will say, in this place, you can conjure a light, Morgan. However, it does not burn as brightly as you would hope it to. You know what the words are. Most importantly, you know what the feeling from your heart is. And yet something is wrong.
May I? Given who I am,
Mm-hmm.
this kind of upsets me.
Okay.
How dare any being stand in my way when I want to do something so simple as to conjure a light? Can I make some sort of roll to see if I can will something brighter?
You can make a will check, yeah.
Okay.
All right. That is a great result. You force your will upon this frayed connection. And after a moment, the flickering light forms itself into an orb of white flame. It is cold to the touch, and it requires your continued concentration to ensure it continues to flame and illuminate. But you are able to create this light, and you can use it to light the way for Christine and for the rest of this strange group you find yourself in.
Anybody standing close enough will hear Morgan mutter, "Merlin or Nimue, if this is your doing, we will have words once I return."
Merlin. Just say Merlin.
Yes. Conjurer of cheap tricks, but fine enough teacher, I
That seems-
suppose.
I've heard so many stories.
It's a rather generous way to describe him, but all right.
Did you say your name was Morgan Le Fay?
Yes, it
As
is.
in from the Round Table?
Yes. Well, not quite of the Round Table. I'm not a knight.
No, but yes. Very important then.
I mean, I could be if I wanted to. I could change my shape. I could look like any of them. But unfortunately, my strength does not come from the sword. It comes from here and here.
I'm not very good with a sword either.
You'll have time to find your strengths, little one. Come now.
Morgan's light illuminates, and Alice, you follow the pathway that you have found. It takes more time than you would like, seems to take years. However, eventually you move towards the heart of this machine, this ship, whatever you may wish to call it. In the center is a room, perfectly spherical. You stand upon a walkway that apparates and dissipates depending on your movement. The air is full with the sound of wind chimes, though there is no wind. Indeed, it feels as if there is no movement, though you can see through the crystalline walls of the ship that it is in constant motion. At the very center of this room, at the very center of this ship, is a table. Upon the table are sheaves of paper stacked high in orderly piles. There is a chair, and on the chair is a figure. The figure hunches over the table and scrawls words upon a page, dripping ink from a long, pale pen. Upon your arrival, this writer, this author, does not look up from their work. But they do call out, "Now, what time of day is it, lad?"
There's no clock here.
How would we know?
Say it's about. Yeah, we can't taste the moon. I don't know what time of day it is.
I'm not even sure if we were who you expected.
He's looking for a lad. I think it would be the Frenchman.
At this point, the figure stops writing and mutters, "Looking for a Frenchman. Huh, interesting." They look up and turn to face you all. They appear to be masculine, of an age indeterminate. There is a brightness about the eyes that speaks to youth, but their face seems haggard, worn. Their fingers and the sleeves of their shirt are stained black with ink. They have a sort of neat beard, but it is graying and a little unkempt at the very end. And he glances at you all, looks to you, Titania, and says, "I know thy face."
Do I know his face?
You do not recognize him as anyone in particular, but a name comes into mind. The author. And this author has written about you in many ways, in many forms. Some less flattering than others. There was that whole thing with the gentleman with the donkey's head. That was not one of your finest hours.
That is not what happened. You little bastard. Titania's gonna sort of like stride toward him with the kind of, I do not get denied. People do not lie about me. I'm coming for you, mother. Feeling.
Your Majesty, do you know him?
Not his name, but his role. You've been lying about me, haven't you?
Are not ye all lies? We sing and we dance. In the dancing and the singing there is thee. Thou art crafted whole cloth and thou art most beautiful. Beautiful in sorrow and joy. Titania, as you approach the table, you can glance down at the page upon which the author was writing, and you notice that the events of the last however long you've been here are depicted upon this page.
Titania is going to pick it up and pull it up to her face, glaring at it, and she's going to look at the guy and I think come to what is pretty obviously to us, the outsiders, the wrong conclusion, and start you've been spying on us.
Alice is going to immediately go and look at the pages.
Alice, you approach and you begin to read, and the events as depicted are here. The text, the ink, molds itself into a language you can understand, and you can read about what has happened, about your arrival, about your investigation, Morgan's forming of the light, and curiously enough, also
I'm never
on
going
the
to say the
page-
word, by the way.
I know.
Everyone else is going to say it. I'm never going to do it.
I had to stop myself right there. Strangely, there are developing moments that could not have been written. You are reading what Titania just said, and the last thing written is Alice approached the table and began to read her story.
This is my story. So are you all just characters in my story?
This be your story. This be her story. This be a new story, for ye all are figures of dream made flesh now.
I've been in someone else's dream before. It wasn't very comfortable.
No, that's cruel. That's horrible.
It says here that an opera singer, fairy queen, a wizard, witch, magician. How would you describe your...
Personally, I prefer sorceress, but I've heard it all.
sorceress?
Fairy?
The word changed. It seems to describe you as you are.
Their word for us.
As it's been happening, Valjean has also been leafing through the pages, sort of trying to get a handle on it, and says, well, if you haven't been spying on us per se, what is this? It's, you have their life and their life, and this is my life. This is more than my life. You talk about Cosette and Fontaine and Marius, and why do you know these people? What is this? What have you done to us?
Clearly, he has some sort of scrying mirror.
No.
Alice is going to hand the pages to Morgan and be like, it seems an unusual sort of magic.
Morgan will go ahead and take the papers from Alice. I like to think that when she does so, they change from being like a picture book to like an illuminated manuscript.
Oh yes, if there weren't pictures in it, she would have complained.
Yeah, you take you take this this manuscript from the girl, and upon doing so, you begin to read, and you read. And King Lot of Lothian and of Orkney then wedded Margos, that was Gawain's mother, and King Nentres of the land of Garlet wedded Elaine. All this was done at the request of King Uther, and the third sister, Morgan Le Fay, was put to school in a nunnery, and there she learned so much that she was a great clerk of necromancy. And after, she was wedded to King Uriens of the land of Gore, that was Sir Ewan le Blancheman's father.
Morgan will smile and look over at the writer at the table, and say, "So it's genealogy now, is it, Merlin?"
The author smiles and says, "This be your tale, just as this be your tale now. Ye are crafted anew." Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. You finish.
Go ahead.
But no, at like crafted anew, Titania is basically gonna like grab him by the throat and like, you've been crafting us. You've been doing this to me.
No, I be just the author. Just
when Titania rushes the author, Valjean would try to intercede.
okay. Titania, do you allow Valjean to intercede?
I don't want to. I feel like Titania doesn't want to hurt Jean Valjean because she thinks he's part. She doesn't think he's part of like whatever's doing this to her. She thinks he's like another victim. So I think she'd like try to paralyze him with magic when she goes for the author.
Okay. Then this will be a contested roll.
Okay.
Jean, this will probably be physique, since you're not trying to hurt anyone. You're just trying to pull them apart. And Titania, if you are utilizing your magical power, I would probably suggest this might be will, since you do not have at this time access to materials. This is simply you relying on your willpower to do so.
Makes sense. Is there a plus or minus you want me to put in?
No, just straight rolls. If you want to utilize any stunts or abilities, you can do so. All right, so Titania's made a great will roll. However, Jean Valjean, you were able to roll a superb physique. So Jean, you are able to move forward. You feel momentarily a sort of coldness that almost gives you pause, but you are able to power through it and quickly, firmly but gently move Titania away from the altar.
Madame, I understand your quarrel with this man, but I cannot allow you to harm him. There must be some explanation. There must be some reason, some why that he's done this, but I cannot allow you to strike him.
Titania is very clearly incredibly distressed that she couldn't just like obliterate this guy with a thought, but she does like yank her hand out of his grip. Get your hands off me! Last mortal put his hands on me without my permission. I struck him so thoroughly from reality that you still can't say his name.
Going to put her hands up and go. It's all right, Queen. We do, Your Majesty. We don't need to have any executions today.
This might be tragedy or comedy. I am sorry, but some untimely thought did instigate a horror. He glances down at the paper and, almost to himself, says, "Did I craft this creature most foul, this thief of song? Despising for you, thus they turn their back." You hear it. You hear the song. You hear the music of creation.
Stop talking like that. Stop talking like that. You sound like him. It can't be him. I can't. I buried him. I know I did.
One story ends, child. Alas, a new one begins.
What story?
This thief has come to steal away the music of creation. You heard the melody when you arrived, and yet ye may not hear it now. Now, I tried, but now my charms are all o'erthrown. And what strength what strength. But ye have strength enough to catch the thief. I called you here. The last grasp of my fingers, I reached out and 5 were plucked from thy true place, created anew. Thou art stories, dreams.
You talk of thieves, but you stole us from our lives.
If I did not, a greater theft would occur. For your lives exist only as long as the music plays in its many myriad forms. But the thief desires only one note, one song, one story. There may be no place for ye in this story, not as ye would like to be.
And if we catch them, we can go back. We can go back and it will solve whatever thing has made you do this.
Thou must catch them, fair knight. Thou must chase them through worlds elsewhere, to find them in the heart of thought, between the notes of creation. Thou must stop them from silencing the music, lest mere oblivion await ye.
I suppose we don't have much of a choice then. And Valjean will sort of make a glance at Titania and like separate from them. You know, he's also in arm's reach. He doesn't want to tempt himself, certainly. He's like, right. Alice. That is your name, right, Alice?
Yes,
You
sir.
were able to lure us to this author. Do you feel any lead? Do you feel any tug of where we have to go next?
Well, I'm not entirely certain what's going on, but I think this is supposed to be for our own good. That's what I think I understand.
Yes.
Alice is going to I think Alice is going to look around the room where the author is and just start looking for things that seem out of place, that seem contrary to what normal expectations would be, because if she's learned anything from other worlds, it is that you find a strange vial that says drink me, you check the label carefully to see that it's not poison, and then you drink it.
You can
Well, to see that it doesn't say poison. She's not incredibly bright.
You can move around this space, and in doing so, you are momentarily able to defy all laws of physics. You are able to move around the sphere in a way that feels right to you. You come towards the very edge of this room, this crystalline structure that you see before you, and you see a name etched into the crystal. The name is Lewis, and
Is that Lewis spelled Louis?
Lewis.
She would definitely pronounce it Louis if it was spelled that way.
And it feels like there are like 100 names behind it, as if whatever this Lewis did or imagined has been a part of hundreds or thousands of retellings or reimaginings, or influencing 1,000 events that came after it. And go ahead.
Does Alice get the feeling that that the names are connected in that way?
You do feel like there must be a reason why they're connected like that. Why you see other names beyond it.
I want to see one too. want to see if I can touch it. Hold it. These crystals.
You can do the same, Christine. You can walk freely around this room, and once you reach the edge of this room, once you reach the crystalline wall that you can see through, and at the same time it is etched with millions of names, billions. There are names here that you would not even begin to understand, like, how they could be pronounced. There are names here from ancient antiquity. There are names from different cultures, some of which you may have heard about or maybe read about once in a book of myth and legend. And eventually you come across a name that at least feels familiar. It is a last name. It is the name LaRue. Do you reach out and touch it?
Yes.
You reach out, and there is a moment in time. It freezes, and you see yourself, but it's not you. But she is behaving as you behave. You recognize these. These are memories that you have of the tragedy that befell you, the horrors that you endured and survived. But it's not quite. You remember those moments. You remember those moments as clearly as if they had been written on a page to never be altered. But this is not the same story. This is someone else's story, but it's also your story.
Le fantôme de l'opéra vraiment existait. Bastard.
Alice is going to glance over at Christine as she seems to react to her crystal. How much does Alice see of what just happened?
You saw Christine reach out and place her fingertips against the wall, and perhaps a second or two later, her hand fell away from the wall, and you saw her reaction.
This name feels familiar to me. Does anybody know who Lewis is?
Oh.
I've known so many mortals. It's impossible to...
It feels like... almost like a father. Only my father's not named Lewis.
What is your
Father
father
is-
named?
Alice looks very, very far away for a moment. And then she shrugs. And then she touches the wall.
And the same thing happens to you. The rest of you watch as Alice touches the wall, and a second or two later, her fingers drop away. But for you, Alice, it feels like days, weeks as you relive journeys you've had. You meet people, you meet beings, but rather you are witnessing these things. There is a girl there, and that girl is you, but you are not that girl. But she is doing everything that you did. but she is not doing it the way you did it. But she is doing it in the exact same order that you did. And she is also the Queen of Wonderland. But she's a different queen of a different Wonderland? But that's you. Except it's not you.
Alice is going to
Alice?
turn to the others and say, I think I was in the poem that I read. Where I think that was I read a poem once, and it was made up of words that I didn't really understand, but someone killed something, and in the wall I saw an older version of myself do that thing. She held a strange sword, and she killed a beast that I've never seen before. But she was me, only she wasn't.
Right, well, all of you can go ahead and dive deep into your memories. I, for one, am going to see if I can find this thief. And Morgan, rather huffily, will walk over. She does not touch the crystalline wall, but she will stand before it and she will demand of it, show me where I need to go.
You say that, and the otter turns and stands and goes and tells you, these promises are fair, the party sure, and our induction full of prosperous hope. Now depart. There is a troubled sea between thee and I, Mark. Ink drips from the tip of their pen, and they draw a line that forms a crack in the glass that you were looking at, Morgan. And this crack widens and opens into darkness. The author sets down their pen, tells you, there is not much time, so play thy part.
While that's happening, since you started talking about like memories, Titania is immediately going to go over to the wall and like touch it on the hopes that she can get her memories back.
You touch it, Titania. And you ask yourself, how came these things to pass? And you are flooded with 100,000 different stories. Memories, stories, memories. This is you. No, this is not you. This is every name. Oh, here's the story you recall. No, this one. No. And you find yourself flooded. All of these are true. None of them are true. Titania, I would like to give you a little bonus for future use.
Fun.
I would like to compel one of your aspects.
Ooh.
How came these things to pass? If you accept this fate point, you will take with you a mild consequence into the next act, as you are flooded with these memories that make concentration difficult for you.
Okay.
Would you like to accept this fate point and the consequence that comes with it for
I
the next?
would.
All right. So you have 4 fate points. and you now have the mild consequence, struggling to concentrate, which is now on your sheet. That is a consequence that could be used against you in the next act of our play. Your enemies will have a free invocation.
Okay. I am gonna say I'm not gonna do it because I live in a house and also, I don't blow up my mic. But when she gets all of these memories in her brain, Titania rips her hand away from the wall and starts screaming.
Mhm. Her scream echoes around the room.
Alice is going to run over to her. And just not touch her because touching queens is a bad idea. But basically are you all right? Did it hurt?
Do I seem all? Give me a. I can handle this.
Alice looks at the place on the wall where Titania touched. What did you see?
Everything.
Alice, you look at the section of the crystal wall. The name there is so ancient, you could not even begin to understand how to pronounce it, let alone perceive what it means. And there are just an incredible number of names behind it. You cannot even conceive the number.
Okay, I got this madcap idea, and now I feel like I have no choice. Alice would like to touch the name on the section of wall in front of Titania and see if she can see Titania's story.
You touch it, and you get a fairy tale that you read. You must have read it because you remember it. That must be a part of who you are. But that's all you get, unlike your previous experience.
Interesting. That didn't seem so bad. It was a fairy tale. I think my governess read it to me.
Fairy is a word that you invented to cage us, to make us comprehensible to you. That is not what I am.
There has to be a word for what you are. If there isn't, you could always make one up.
There are 18,000 words for me in my brain right now. I am not going to be pleasant. Please give me a moment.
Alice is going to completely ignore "give me a moment" and say, "You can always pick one." Because children do not pay attention when adults need them to shut the fuck up and leave them alone.
I don't know. They're not me.
It should be noted, as you're having this conversation, the crack is causing further cracks to appear around the room. Very soon, if you do not move forward, you will be left behind.
I was going to say, Morgan, for her part, is like transfixed by this magic, coming presumably, as she does, from a tradition where magic is never written down. The fact that somebody just used writing to create magic, she will probably against her better judgment, reach up and try to touch this rift in reality.
You all watch as Morgan's fingers extend for miles, and then her hand and her arm follow it. And Morgan, if you could be scared enough to try to pull away, it wouldn't even matter. But there, I assume, is no fear here. You slip into the widening chasm, into the darkness, and you slip into the inky blackness beyond. She is gone.
When that happens, Titania is just gonna be like, God damn it, Frenchman, could you help me up, please? I don't want to touch the wall again.
Neither do I. And and Valjean will help.
The
you
only
up
one
and-
with sense.
And Titania's gonna like direct him to help her through the crack. Like, fuck it, I don't want to be here anymore.
Valjean will assist Tatiana and Alice if Alice acquiesces.
Alice is going to actually turn and say, "One moment," and then she's going to run back to the section of the wall where Lewis's name was written, and touch it again, searching for specifically Alice Kingsley from the 2010 film. And then she's going to try and call out to her saying, "Excuse me, could I borrow your sword? And maybe one of those bottles."
Okay. Would you like to spend a fate point?
I would love to spend a fate point.
Okay. At the price of a fate point, you generally give yourself very good advice, though you very seldom follow it. And you thrust your hand through the glass, and a very confused Alice spots you and hears your words, and you ask her for the sword and a bottle.
Yep.
Okay.
You seem really cool, by the way. I didn't do all of the fighting that you did when I did the things that you did, but seems really neat.
Thank you. And the sword, an element of the sword sort of slips from her hand and into yours. And for the price of a fate point, you now have the sort of situational aspect. You can make a note of this. Vorpal sword.
Excellent.
So you will be able to utilize that, and I will give you one free invocation of that sort of that aspect for your payment.
Kingsley's sword.
I asked this in chat, but does this mean you can also summon terrifying Eastern European stop-motion creatures?
Oh.
Only one way to find out.
I bet you I could. I probably don't want to. Did I get a drink me bottle or a vial for changing size?
You got a bottle, the contents of which we will determine.
Right.
While Alice is retrieving their objects, Valjean will turn to Christine. It's Madame Christine.
Oops.
Are you better? Are you okay? I will join you through the rift if you are willing.
Go with the child and the queens. I will be with you in a moment.
Valjean.
I have words for the author.
Valjean nods and says, we will be waiting for you.
So once I am alone with the author,
Mm-hmm.
you made a mistake bringing me here. Because if this is what it means for my song to continue, I am not sure it is music I want to hear. And maybe we would be better if it stopped. Knowing what I know now, of what I am, and everything I will become, I am not sure this is a fate anyone deserves. I will go. But I hope you know what you're doing. And with that, I step through.
You slip through a crack in creation, Christine, to join the others who have gone before you. What awaits on the other side? Who is to say? We will now take a short break. 5 minutes. When we return, Act 2, the prison. Thank you so much, everyone.
Back in
Thank you,
5.
Five.
We'll be back in
Five.
5.